What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you a video I was kind of inspired to make spur of the moment, and it is right after I got the Lord of Murder achievement on Baldur's Gate 1, where you actually beat the game on Legacy of Bhaal difficulty, which is like the uber hard difficulty that was added with the enhanced edition. And oftentimes people will ask me, why do you review games after you 100% them? Why do you even bother to 100% them? That kind of thing. To actually answer that question, for starters, basically this. I really enjoyed this moment where I have strategized, even failed multiple times, but finally managed to make it work and accomplish something that was difficult in some way. Now, some games capture that feeling more than others, for sure. And the first game that ever did that for me was Divinity Original Sin 2, when I beat the game on honor mode, like legitimately, because a ton of planning went into that honor mode, and then just, actually managing to accomplish it was just a really good feeling. So that was a very similar thing that just happened with Baldur's Gate 1 here and the new harder difficulty that they had added that I'd never really messed with when I had played it previously. And to go on to explain, I thought it would be fun to make this video kind of answering that question, and moreover, just kind of explaining my general strategy here. Now, this is just the last boss, Sarevok. Spoilers for the 20-plus-year-old game, by the way. But I will mention a few things. I started with a level 1 custom party. Now, there are other ways to do this. It's possible to import characters from Baldur's Gate 2, actually, because they're all enhanced editions and everything, But obviously, I wanted to do this legitimately, so I started with a level 1 custom party, and that consisted of a half-elf skald, a gnome cleric illusionist, and 4 archers. Now, archers sounds a little vague, but that's actually a class kit in Baldur's Gate 1 here, or like a subclass, basically, of ranger. So for starters, if you're unaware, Archer is the single highest DPS, if you will, in this particular game. Now, not in every situation, obviously. More or less across the board, they're the best way to go, simply because they have an incredibly high base thaco, which is basically the same as the fighters, and there's a lot of items in the early game for Baldur's Gate 1 that will enhance that. So by the time I am actually getting to the last boss here, like 2 of those archers actually have a negative thaco, which means even on this difficulty, they hit basically every time. Now, the Cleric Illusionist is actually the main character, and that character's function is basically to be my spellcaster, because Cleric Illusionist gives you 19 intelligence from being a gnome. You're also able to cast all cleric and wizard spells, giving you the broadest possible assortment of spells. So that character's whole purpose in life was basically to do all of the spell casting outside of summoning. Now, the other big part of Legacy of Bhaal, and probably honestly the biggest part, is that on this difficulty, summons receive the same bonuses as most of the enemies do. So summoning is everything for the most part. That's why you use the summons as your tanks and stuff instead of an actual tank, because they're honestly just going to get killed most of the time. So the summons, having all those same bonuses, work out better. But that's just the general approach. That's how we got here to this room. Now, the fight with Sarevok is a little different. So when you're fighting Sarevok, the main thing to keep in mind here is that he is the least threatening thing in the room. The fight with him is more about controlling the room than it is fighting him. So that big symbol in the middle of Bhaal there, his little skull and everything, every bit of that is gold is a trap. If you step on it, a trap goes off. Moreover, on the sides of the room, those little tomb-like structures, if you get too close to them, it will spawn a battle horror. And battle horrors are easily the worst enemy to deal with on this difficulty, because they are immune to all missile damage, which means our archers are useless, basically. Moreover, they deal insane damage. Really, the only way to deal with them is to keep summoning things to keep them distracted while the mage tries to kill it. But that brings me to my other point. On this difficulty, offensive spells are mostly garbage, because the amount of spell slots you have to spend to actually be effective against something is just not worth the cost, and utility is really the better way to go. Spells like Web, Blindness, Hold Person. Hold Person actually came in clutch in this particular battle, because you'll see here in just a minute, but I got a, honestly, just really lucky cast off where I hit Sarevok with Hold Person and it stuck, and he was paralyzed the rest of the battle. So the other part of this battle is just knowledge. You should be able to see in the video here if the failed attempts are done playing. What I'm doing here is I cleared out 1 battle horror from the right side of the room, And then I cast Invisible on an archer and a Reanimate Dead spell, which is that skeleton just below the symbol of Bhaal in the middle of the room there. Now, that skeleton is sitting there because a mage is going to teleport there. At the start of a battle with Sarevok, a couple people spawn, and the mage always teleports down here, at least the one that does all the crowd control for Sarevok. So the goal is to cast Invisible on one of our characters and a Reanimate Dead, so a skeleton is sitting roughly in that spot. Now, our Invisible character is going to walk up the room and start the battle. However, he's invisible, so the enemies won't move besides the mage, who teleports down here where he's supposed to. At which point, he gets aggro of the skeleton. I use, I believe, a Wand of Paralyzation or a Hold Person. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. But the key is he got stuck, he couldn't crowd control anything, and then where he was by himself because the other enemies didn't engage, the archers just mowed him down. At that point, we take our invisible guy back up the side of the room, and this is where we actually have him engage Sarevok. Now, we can't see them at the moment, but there's actually still 2 other enemies in the room. There's another mage and a guy named Tazok. Tazok is invisible, you gotta be careful, and he actually caught me by surprise, unfortunately. I thought I didn't aggro him, but he wound up showing up. But the key is to send the archer up there, aggro Sarevok, pull him down. If you do this right, the other mage will not spawn, or he won't aggro, whatever you want to call it, down into the battle. And then, unfortunately, Tazok surprised me, so as this was happening, he kind of spawned in after I got the Hold Person spell off on Sarevok, because I got a little excited and was like, yes, and then I wasn't paying attention and Tazok spawned in. But that was fine. Then I used a Wand of Monster Summoning to have my half-elf Skald, instead of just using Bard Song, which is his actual purpose in this. He can also use wands and things. That's the other upside of using a Skald. So I used the Wand of Monster Summoning, which then tanks Tazok. Unfortunately, I did lose a guy right at the end there because, again, I wasn't paying attention. But then at that point, again, my archers just mowed Sarevok down because he was paralyzed and every hit was hitting. So that is just a little taste of all the planning that went into literally just this fight. And that's not even counting getting here, trying to get through the maze without a thief. If you're unaware, on the way to Sarevok, right before him, there's a big maze filled with traps, which normally you would want a thief to get through. But this party does not consist of a thief, so I had to get creative and use various potions and protections of magic shielding to just walk through those traps, which on this difficulty are basically one-hit kills. So things like that. But there you go, guys. That's just a little taste. Just kind of answering the question of why I do 100%. This is it. I just enjoy this part where I put all that planning into something. It pans out. I get to be like, here's this awesome thing I did and share it with the world. And then make content for you guys. So that's it for me. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Just kind of something a little different to break things up. If you did enjoy it, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. We are growing just tremendously. It's blowing me away. I'm actually going part-time starting in August at my actual job so I can focus more on this. Just cannot thank you guys enough. Truly incredible to me. Hope you enjoyed the video. But regardless of any of that, honestly, legitimately, truly, just thank you. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.